Ladies and gentlemen, so today I wanted to showcase a little bit of Void gameplay in Act 5. Now, if you're unaware of the content creator program that Marvel Contest of Champions have, it gives kind of YouTubers and anybody, that's got a little bit of a following, you can apply to get early access to a champion for the purposes of kind of making videos. So that is how we've got Void today, if you're a little bit curious, but I really wanted to do a lot of testing with this character and showcase and highlight some of his various uses and pros and cons throughout the game. And today we're going to be focusing on a lot of Act 5 gameplay and showing some of Void's potential against some of the really nasty regeneration champions in Act 5, because that is by far one of overall the biggest strengths about the character, his ability to not only negate regeneration but then also reverse it. Once you get one stack of Fear of the Void, then any additional swirly debuffs that you might see on Green Goblin, they're known as Petrify, can actually reduce healing. So it's theoretically possible at the moment that you can get up to a minus 200% heal reversal on any character, which is just pretty damn insane. So we got that Fear of the Void on Green Goblin at the moment. We fight off the SP1. We got the heal reversal. So he's got a stack of madness now. So Green Goblin's regeneration that he has via his madness ability is just all being reversed and dealt back to him. And that is why he's just getting absolutely minced down toward the end. So yeah, it looks like Void is going to be pretty damn good for those Alliance War nodes, mainly node 24. People always stick a Green Goblin on there, so I feel like Void is just going to be so insane for that. Being able to not only negate the healing, but then reverse it. You're going to have to stay alive. There's an element of survival in it, because it's not an immediate effect that you can trigger off. You do need to get all 6 of the debuffs, which, are applied via 2 ways. The timer on Void that you see ticking down at the moment, and also via the special one. So to get this really powerful heal reversal, it takes a bit of time. There's ramp up, and I feel like it's fairly fair, fairly balanced, and also presents Void as a viable alternative solution to stuff like Realm of Legends Wolverine, and also Labyrinth of Legends X23. So I'm super excited to see if any other content creators, maybe like Legacy, are hopefully going to go into Labyrinth of Legends, get around to X23, and then try and do a one-shot kill with Void, because I think it would be possible, theoretically speaking. But anyway, let's look at this fight right now. So you see she has the 6 debuffs at the moment. They've all been converted now to Fear of the Void. Once the 6 debuffs are up, the timer comes up for Fear of the Void. We fire off a special one and also another debuff procs. So we get the 50% heal reduction, which is now acting as a 50% heal reversal. Took a chunk of her health away on not only the regeneration from the Vitality node, but also serves to reverse the regeneration from Nebula's charges, which is super cool, because this Nebula, the first time I was doing 5.4.6 in terms of 100%, she was super annoying to fight. I think I did her with Angela, and it was a super long fight. So yeah, Void seems to be a very good matchup for kind of stacked Nebulas. Also Wolverine, this is Wolverine on the Vitality node again. So Vitality is basically, if you can't get them below 25% in 15 seconds, then they get a huge burst of regeneration. So this is really another one of those examples where the game plan is just get to that initial Fear of the Void, and then get one stack of the Petrified Debuff on the opponent to reduce the regeneration, and then just keep on going ham and just try to get as many stacks of that as possible up. But as you can see here, we've already got 100% heal block. We gain that fairly quickly. Again, sometimes you can get really lucky and get it as your first 2 debuffs if that is the goal in mind. But if the goal is just general damage, then you are kind of hoping for one of every debuff, because damage is dealt passively over time, depending on the amount of unique debuffs on the opponent. So that's very important. That special one that we used there was actually completely wasted, just because it didn't apply a debuff, because he already had all 6 of the debuffs active there. But yeah, that's something that we learn in hindsight. It's a good idea to never fire off a special one once you've got all 6 stacks, because that special one will just go to absolute waste. It's better to hold it off until the next one. But as you can see, Wolverine on the regeneration and Vitality node here goes down fairly easily once we get the heal block off. Yeah, it just wasn't much of a problem at all. And next up, we move on to a fight which, you know, showcases, I guess, two bits of Void's utility. And the first one is the ability to negate regeneration, and the second one is the ability to negate evade. But his evade counter isn't super effective. I think we got a little bit lucky here with some of the procs. But essentially, this is a 200% regeneration node Ultron that is also unstunnable, hence no parries. So this dude, he can be a massive pain in the ass. He's found in the Modok chapter of 5.4, the very first opponent you'll fight on the Vitality lane there. So yeah, big pain in the ass, but we've been very lucky here. We've got the 2 stacks of Petrify up, so his healing has been reduced by 100%. We got a little bit unlucky with that evade specifically there. We tried to fire off the SP1, but after the medium, like, he evaded and was already there with a block, so that could have wrecked us, but we got a little bit lucky there again. Firing off a final special 1 here just to get the 6 debuffs off. Start the timer to get the Fear of the Void mega debuff on Ultron. And we are going, you know, below 50% now, which is where I'm really hoping to get a reversal debuff on the Ultron here. Unfortunately, the first 2 weren't, but it still seems like even that, I don't know if a little bit of the healing is being reversed. Seems to function in a little bit of a weird way, but now we've got 1 stack of Petrify, like a really good chunk of the healing is being reversed, and yeah, Ultron just goes in the bin after that. And also a little bit of additional damage off the special 1, because Ultron's awakened ability converts, you know, energy damage into healing, and reversing that with Void special 1, which is an energy based attack. It's just additional damage, which is pretty damn cool there. And then we have Superior Iron Man on her 200% regeneration node here, and very luckily, like, the first 2 debuffs we get are capping the regeneration, but you know, we didn't really need it until 15%. But this is more of a general, like, I guess probably one of the easiest matchups that we have in the video here, just trying to bait out the special 2 on Iron Man there. But really, the strategy that I found for pretty much every fight, I think it's very rare that you'll want to go on a 4-star Void to the special 2, but thinking about the 5-star one, I think it's going to work in a slightly different way in terms of the rotation, because the 4-star one, the signature level caps out at dupe level 99, and the maximum time you can increase the rate that your debuffs apply faster is 50%, but if it's a 5-star, it's 60%, so it's actually much easier to get and maintain those debuffs if you have a 5-star dupe level 200. But yeah, as you can see here, we've got the reversal, we've got the heal block, like Superior Iron Man just goes absolutely in the bin. Now, next up, we have a fairly couple of easy matchups against both Deadpool and X-23, both on regeneration nodes, 200%, so, you know, these are scenarios, again, where regeneration is quite a big factor in kind of getting both of these opponents down, and yeah, just a perfect showcase for Void. But I also want to take time to just explain what the other debuffs do as well. So the kind of little, I guess, target one at the moment is Agility, and that reduces ability accuracy of Evade and the Dexterity Mastery by 30%, and has a maximum of 2 stacks. So when this is at 2 stacks, it's minus 60%, and I believe if you get 1 Fear of the Void and then stack 2 more, I believe the opponent can be completely immune to Evade, but I also think that may be a little bit of a tricky scenario to make happen for your average 4-star, and there's a lot of ramp up, so I'm not really seeing Void's overall super great use against Evade champions in particular, because I think to get them down, he's going to be generally quite slow. But I don't know, if somebody's super skilled and aggressive and has like a 5-star rank 5 Void, there is potential if they play very well, possibly, if it functions in the way that I believe it functions, to one-shot some Labyrinth bosses, like, you know, the classic Spider-Man in the corner. I think that might be some potential with a character, but again, it's only the first day of having Void. There is a lot to be explored. And also in terms of the other debuffs, there is the Fatigue debuff, so that is the one that looks like a bit of a running man, and it's got kind of a down arrow on. And this one seems fairly useless while you are playing the character, unless you get hit. It reduces the critical hit rating of the opponent. On the 4-star one, it's close to 1,100 crit rating reduction, which, to be honest, is pretty much like 1 debuff of that, and I think that's like all of your opponent's chance to crit. So that maybe acts as an alright safety buffer if you happen to mess up with Void there. But generally, you know, if you're not getting hit, you're not going to have too much of a problem. But I guess that's an alright thing to have on the character. And then finally, the one is the final one, which we've kind of already talked about a little bit about, is the swirly one, the Petrified Debuff, and that reduces the effectiveness of power gain and regeneration by 50%. So with regeneration, it goes into a negative, and then starts reversing the regeneration once you've got one stack of Fear of the Void, which will combine all of the effects, and then additional stacks. You know, if you have, you can go potentially up to 2 stacks of Fear of the Void if you're in scenarios where you're very, very aggressive, and then also gain, 2 additional stacks of that. So theoretically, in the scenario where you're playing like a 5-star Jeep level 200, it could be minus 200% regeneration, but I guess for the average fight, it's more like minus 100% to 150% regeneration once you're like really into the fight. So yeah, I guess that probably sounded like a little bit complicated, but hopefully the gameplay that we're showing today helps you to understand a little bit. Now, the next 2 fights I have are against Ant-Men. Now, this one is actually on a Masochism node. So Masochism is the node that when a debuff is applied, it will instead remove that debuff and heal for a little bit. I wanted to see how Void would do on a node like this. I don't really think I played the fight too well, because I guess the goal of this fight, theoretically, is to parry right before your debuff is about to trigger, so that the parry soaks up Masochism, and that you can get your debuff off successfully. But yeah, I just found it a little bit of clunky playing. I don't really think Void is the best option, or even really a great option for dealing with Masochism nodes, just because he relies so much on debuffs. But for a lot of the fights, he may be an option that works for some people. We eventually get this Ant-Man down, but it is one hell of a chore, as you can see. Very, very difficult time applying the debuff sometimes, and the parry with its reduced ability accuracy reduction doesn't always seem to trigger the Masochism node, which is a little bit annoying. Fight off the special 1 there, and yeah, we just triggered the regeneration, but luckily we now have stacks enough to fully counter the regeneration provided by the Masochism node. So it's now a case of we have to get 1 more stack of the fatigue debuff, and now they're all going to combine together. And I was interested to see if they were going to combine if Masochism wasn't on cooldown, and luckily, like, Fear of the Void did not get soaked up by Masochism, so that was quite good to see. And I think very luckily, our first ever debuff on here was the heal reversal, which is super good to see. So here we fire off the special 1, and it actually reverses the effect of the Masochism node, which was absolutely fantastic. But then, you know, keeping debuffs up in a fight like this, where a good majority of your debuffs just aren't triggering, like, it didn't turn out too well overall. And you can see, like, we're a little bit backed into the corner, like, fighting a really stacked Ant-Man. In terms of, like, him pushing you into the corner, I mean, at least for me, it always seems to take a little bit of its toll, but we got very lucky on this fight as well, that the first 2 debuffs after the first Fear of the Void was inflicted were the minus healing and minus power gain ones. To be honest, I'd really like to see, if I could make one change to this character at this point in time, is that Fear of the Void would be permanent. I'm not too sure if that would be too overpowered, but I'd absolutely love to see it. If you could just permanently have 2 stacks and then get into a really fun rotation. To be honest, I don't think the damage output would be like too much more than like Stark and Aunt's Spider-Man or Archangel or what Star-Lord could achieve. But yeah, we'll give him kind of that solidified ramp up, and this is Ant-Man again, but this time instead of Masochism, the one that, you know, removes debuffs and has the regeneration, this is actually the Buffet one, which is the one that removes buffs and applies regeneration. So yeah, I just wanted to see kind of the functionality, and I think Void is really good for nodes like Buffet, especially if you kind of are in the zone and evading a lot, because it's not really affecting your debuff application, and you can just really get in there, start mincing the opponent, and then when you do successfully evade, then you're turning that node against the opponent, and every successful evade with dexterity on is going to be, yeah, a little bit of additional damage that you're dealing to the opponent, so that's pretty cool. If there's ever a really stacked Buffet node, providing, you know, this character stays the same in terms of the way that his regeneration reversal functions, I think Void is by far going to be one of the best options for scenarios like that. that. And I also just want to give appreciation to Void's dashback. Void's dashback is arguably one of the best things about the characters. It's so quick, it's so smooth, look at the way he just flies back. Oh, it's fantastic. I really rate it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video and kind of learned some interesting stuff about Void and his uses within the game. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.